Welcome back to another GSD Talks. Very excited for this one. This is a continuation of the month of the future of guarding. So Matthew, why don't you give us an overview of who did we talk to and what did we cover?
Thank you, Lee. Yes, we were very fortunate to speak to Jamie Ridenhour, APP, standing for Associate Protection Professional with ASIS out of Alabama in the United States of America. And we covered like a gamut from what is the APP certification, its inception, some tricks and tips used to study, prepare, and to make sure you get that certification. And also just a lot of, confidence in yourself while taking the exam and how it's helped Jamie and other aspiring young and transitioning professionals into the security field. First of all, for those listening, what is the ASIS APP certification? And really, how did it come to be?
Well, it's the Associate Protection Professional Certification, and it's a board-certified program, just like with the CPP, the Certified Protection Professional. However, it's a little bit of a stepping stone. It's a first rung on the ladder kind of thing. It allows for people that are newer to the industry or newer within the experience continuum. So whereas with the CPP, there is a much stricter years of service in the industry and experience level, 7 to 9 years, depending on whether or not you have a degree. Whereas with the APP, it's between 1 and 4 years. So it lets you come in a little bit earlier, a little bit sooner, and get that accreditation, get that certification to show that you're serious. My personal story coming out of this, I come from a very small community. I think we have more cows and probably more goats than people, and where I've come from. And I really getting into this industry has been a broad eye-opener. I've gotten to do so many things and be a part of so many things that have been amazing and eye-opening. And to come in and be able to work on these things and work as a part of these organizations has been wonderful. When I first got into the industry, once again, as a security officer, no higher education in the field, just really learning everything I could, soaking up everything I could from the ground up, working through those different roles. And then with the APP, Eddie Sorrells is our COO and a very big proponent of the ASIS International and the different programs. And he mentioned to me, he knew I was interested, and he mentioned to me, he said, I know you don't quite have enough to be able to do certain things within the organization, but APP is a new program that's being developed and worked on and all. Would you be interested in looking into some of that? Of course, I'd love to. So I was able to do that where I couldn't necessarily become part of the CPP field yet. I could enter into the rung of APP. And so through that, I was able to take the certification exam, work on it. I guess I did an okay job on it. I was asked then later to help and become a part of the study manual committee and work with that. And that was a wonderful experience. I think we'll talk a little bit more about that here in just a little bit. But that was wonderful. It was good to be a part of that. And then also too, let's look at this part of it. When you have the APP first, it then lowers your year limits of experience to be able to take the CPP. So I'll be able to also pursue my CPP earlier through the fact that I've gained my APP.
You personally, Jamie, do you have any study preparation techniques? Maybe what do you think is an ample amount of time you should study? Are there any other resources ASIS offers? Obviously, besides, you mentioned Eddie Sorrells with the, the networking and whatnot. I mean, what was your key really to making sure that you were going to walk in there, take the exam, and figuratively not leave until you got your well-deserved APP?
Yeah. Thank you for that question. That's a really good question. I'm going to broaden my topic on it just a little bit because once again, I do have the benefit of having experienced it before knowing and being a part of any of this that I've been a part of. And then now having that experiential knowledge of going through that and then also coming out on the other side and even leading APP study groups. So kind of coming on the other side, a wider range on that. When I first went into it, I'll start with that first. When I first went into it before I had done any of this other stuff, one of the things that really was a daunting thing for me, and probably for most folks, whenever you get into the ASIS and you begin looking at these processes and taking these tests, it can be a little overwhelming at first. The thought of it, the idea. With the APP, it's 100 questions, and there can also be up to 25 unscored questions within that. And that's a large test, and it covers 4 domains. And when you look at the different materials, the different study materials, when I took it, at that time, the APP reference was available. And that consisted of 5 standards and 3 books. So when I first did this, I ordered the whole shebang-a-lang, and it was this. And then now, once again, we'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, but now we have the study guide that has also helped consolidate some of that information. But when you look at it, I was immediately, when I received my books, I looked at them and I was like, I have a job, I have responsibility, and I have all this stuff too. But I remembered something, and this is something that always comes back to me that I really enjoyed. Samuel Johnson was a scholar in the 1700s, and he helped to develop one of the first English language dictionaries, which you can imagine, it took him 9 years. That's like a huge deal. That's a big, big undertaking. In one of his books, Rosales, I believe Prince of Abyssinia, or one of his things, he goes in there, and there's an excerpt from the book that I really enjoy, and I'm probably butchering the language here, but he talks about no great feat is done through brute strength. It's through perseverance. He says, look at that palace over there. That's built from single stones, and look at its spaciousness and how large it is. Anything you do, you got to take a bite at a time. My granddaddy, whenever we would start on big projects sometimes, or start on working on something, or I'd look at him and be like, oh, granddaddy, I don't know if I can handle this day. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's the simplest phrase I can think of. It may take you a while. It may take you a long time. But if you walk a couple hours a day every day, at some point, you're going to have walked enough that you've circumvented the globe, distance-wise. Anything you can do through a little bit of perseverance and taking a bite at a time with it. So what I would say is do your best to set aside that immediate mindset of, wow, that's a lot of stuff. And then take it, move it over, and put it into chunks. I'm going to work on this fundamental. I'm going to work on security fundamentals. I'm going to try and go through this. I'm going to learn the concepts. I'm going to learn the terminology. I'm going to learn how it's put in practice. And for me, I'm a very kinesthetic example person as well, too. Like, I like to see examples of something, and then I can understand the process better. Learn some of that. Go through some of that. Move to business operations. Learn some of that. Learn the terminologies. My key takeaways would be look at those reference materials. Go to the ASIS store, see what some of those are. Look at that study guide. Study guide's a wonderful resource. Study guide. And then focus on terminology, process, and the way ASIS International words and does things. One point of advice to just anybody I can talk to in general, it's attitude is everything. You know, you can teach, you can learn, you can educate. Attitude is something that's within you, you've got to cultivate. And attitude, to me, once again, is everything. I firmly believe that attitude is one of those things where if you have the right attitude and you go at something and you work and you want to be involved, you're going to go places. You're going to do that. You're going to get results. You're going to have good things happen, but you've got to have the right attitude, that perseverance, and that diligence to keep on moving a little bit at a time. Because once again, I sometimes when I look back and see some places I've been or things I've done, and then I see myself now, I didn't wake up one morning and my life was totally radically different. Steps, and having an attitude of positivity and moving forward is going to get you where you want to get to.
Wonderful. And then Lisa, from your point of view, what did you take away from the conversation?
Well, I love this conversation because Jamie had the opportunity to tell us about how studying and preparing and then taking the APP exam is really an investment in yourself, in your continuing education, and just might open a lot of doors that in networking and studying for this and finding innovative ways to be able to pay for the exam itself. Just a lot of really great tips and tricks, as Matthew said. So really great opportunity if people are thinking about transitioning into the security sector or looking to formalize some of the recognition of their expertise in security. This is a great stepping stone and a great first step.
I think any and all education is an investment in yourself. And the more you invest in yourself, the more you grow. And so with that, and having said that, you know, it's really one of those things that is a horizon broadener. It's one of those things that can, you know, I didn't understand the business operations side. I didn't understand how this was working. I'm just giving examples, but maybe as a professional, I had never dabbled in this. I hadn't learned the terminology of that. I hadn't understood how a certain process worked. And this really, through those 4 domains and going through that and learning, and then through the reference materials, and then even through the professional development of doing some online courses and stuff and things through ASIS online, and quite frankly, even networking with other professionals. You all here included, I'm pointing at you virtually through the screens, but you all here, just learning and being a part of and being able to have that back and forth with different people and learn different things is phenomenal, amazing. And the credibility it lends you as well. So we all know that security is a very certification heavy industry. It's very much training based and certification based on education and learning and kind of where people have kind of progressed in these different areas. But having said that, sometimes it can be hard to set yourself apart. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, you're looking at millions of people, at least, I believe there's 820,000 security officers in the United States as of 2018. There's probably more than 1 million security professionals overall within the different sections of the industry. And you're looking at, I want to say, between 14 and 15,000 different entities that do just contract security. So once again, you've got a lot of stuff out there. You've got a lot of people competing, and you've got a lot of people in different areas. How do you set yourself apart? How do you show that you are taking it seriously to grow yourself and invest in yourself in this industry? And through ASIS International, having these board certified programs and certification processes, you're able to do that.
Absolutely. Thrilled to have him on. Ton of information, ton of knowledge. Look forward to seeing what he had to say. So thank you both very much for taking the time to do this, and look forward to seeing you again.